Hello dear listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Welcome to yet another installment of this wonderful program of ours, Mogobe's Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I'm privileged and honored to have invited to the studio I call him Dr Letshwiti, but he's really Dr Letshwiti Tutwane, and he'll have a chance to introduce himself. But we're going to talk about a very interesting subject in the context of Botswana, where we're talking about the essential ingredients of success. The way we package it is that we're talking about the success values specifically. Welcome to the studio, Dr. Tutwane.
Thank you,
yes,
my brother.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. Why do you think it's necessary to identify values? That's what I'm going to ask you. But before I do, just take a moment to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay. My name is Letshwiti Tutwane. I don't know how to introduce myself because there are so many things that I do. The first thing, most people may know me as an academic at the University of Botswana, teaching Department of Media Studies. I'm also a businessman. I run a company called Optimum Answers Investment, and I'm also a pastor with a church called Heavenly Warriors in Mogobe in Botswana.
One of the things you do is prepare workshops and teach people, and you really delve into these fields of success and personal development. Tell us about your workshops and what you do.
From time to time, I do training in leadership and management, personal development, just empowerment, just to encourage people to make it in life, to help them to reflect on life and to address life challenges.
All right, just to set a basis for our discussion, and I think the discussion is going to pick up as we go on. Tell us about your message for today. I know that it's a message on motivation, and tell us the essence of it. What is it that you'd like to share with our viewers?
The other day I was in class and I was challenged by a student. We were just talking about the challenges of life. And she was saying to me, life is so difficult. I'm trying to do business here and my mother is not helping me. And I was just saying to myself, what she is saying is a microcosm of the problems that we face in society. But, there are ways, there are laws of life that I believe are universal, that one can apply in their lives, and that can help catapult somebody somewhere. And maybe I can share some of those values or laws of success that I've personally come up with from my personal experience.
It's interesting about the one aspect of this. You say that God never said goodbye. How did you come up with this message, and why are you saying God never said goodbye?
I'm saying this because the Bible and other religious books tell us that we were created by God, and God is a successful God. God never fails in anything. But if we are made in the likeness of God, and all religions acknowledge that, we cannot fail in life. Because the Bible says that God never said goodbye, and God never said he will leave us alone. God says, I'll be with you up to the end of times. And it means that in whatever we are going through, God is with us.
One of the things I've come across, especially people in the academic arena, is an effort by some academicians and scholars to take God out of scholarship, and to say, especially when you talk about scientific inquiry, that God is totally irrelevant. What is your view on that?
The things of God are very complex. They are inscrutable. They are things that do not make sense to people. But as you might have read, you've come across situations that even doctors themselves, sometimes they have experienced healing with a patient where there was no hope. They can't even explain how this thing has happened, but they know it has happened. They have acknowledged, they have done tests, because life begins with God. We can't answer, we can't understand everything about God, because we are not God. His ways are not our ways. Sometimes I think we've seen accidents, and the listeners and the viewers also have seen situations where there's an accident. The car is so crumbled, you can't believe that a human being came out of this unscathed. So there are situations like that. That shows you that God is there. We just have to find a way of discovering this God and tapping into His greatness for our own success in life. That is why I talk about values that I want to delve into, if you allow me.
No, I'm going to very much allow you, but in allowing you, I'm going to ask you to tell us, to tell the listener how you tapped into these values and how it may apply to your life personally.
Aha. You see, I think like most people, I started life in a very austere way. Hard life.
Maybe you have to explain austere.
Hard life. Hard life, a life of hardship, a life of lack, a life of poverty, a life of misery, brought up by a single father, dumped by my father when I was very young. So I looked up to my mother, and then I kept asking myself questions at a very young age. Why are we poor? Why are we suffering? That is when I started to think. As a young boy in the 1980s, at school I was a radio boy. I would listen to the radio, read newspapers, and as I became of age, began to interact with people who knew about God, who knew the things of God. A roommate of mine introduced me to church, actually introduced me to Christ, because I used to go to church, but I didn't have an experience with God, knowing what God can do. I used to think that church is just a place where people just go to encourage each other about life. That is not really the word of God. You know, it's just a book, like a lot of people believe, just a book that is written to keep law and order in life.
Is there a specific incident which you want to share with the listeners, which you would say is a turning point during the course of which you underwent the change?
I think one of the things that I did in my life, which is not only a route to success anyway, there are many routes. One of the things that I valued in my life was education. So I used it as a ladder to climb to the top and be able to live a life of happiness and success. I used to walk to school from Klokweni to Camp Primary School and back. Sometimes I would get a lift from the parents of a friend of mine. Is called Papa Macholi. He used to be in the army. He still works for government in the security services. So we formed a friendship. We go to the library, study together, and when I go to the university, I was inspired by other students, who, especially those who were in student politics. But before that, when I was at secondary school, I think I was going from 3. I met then the then leader of opposition, Dr. Koma. I was only 16 years of age.
16
years. Because we used to come from school at Nari Secondary School, and we would converge with other people under the Mogobe there by Aben police station, where there would be political rallies. So I took interest in this man because he was very educated. So he inspired me to go to take my education seriously. He used to enlist my services to edit some of the material, the pamphlets that he was writing. And even for me to do my first master's in the UK, it was through his son, Simon, who connected me with people who could give me a scholarship. So I valued education. But I never accepted my circumstances as a hindrance to my success. Like David Brinkley says, the stones that people throw at you are the stones that you use to rise up. And I never blamed anybody for my circumstances. I believe that I'm the master of my own fate. So,
captain of your fate and your destiny. The master of your destiny.
Yes. And I also began to read motivational books. And I realized that nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission.
Wow, that is a powerful one. And you mentioned about masters, first and second. How many masters do you have, and on what fields? And what is your PhD on?
My first master's from Cardiff University is in journalism and cultural studies. Then my second master's from the University of Leicester, which is an MSc, is in communication research. My PhD from the University of Portsmouth is in media and communication, specialized in media, law, and policy.
Okay, that's very interesting. Perhaps we will delve deeper into that. Maybe you share with us some of the learnings from those masters. But let me go on. One of the points I want us to cover is, do you have any life heroes who have inspired you, apart from Dr. Kenneth Koma?
Yeah, I mean, I've met some very successful people. Like, there's a gentleman in South Africa, is a Zimbabwean multi-millionaire, Professor Love Mombigi. We've just been talking recently. We've been doing some consultancies together. Inspired by people like Jack Ma, the founder of Mascom, Strive Masiwa, and heroes from Mao Zedong to Charles Handy, management scholar. People like Jack Welch, the chief executive of General Electric, Winston Churchill, Fidel Castro. Yes, I've never come across a person as brilliant and as brave as Fidel Castro, a man who managed to beat 10 American presidents till he died, just 90 miles away from his place. I think that was a man and a half.
Yeah, he was made.
So there are many that I can talk about who have inspired me. Even South Africa, recently I was reading this book in front of me here of a millionaire called Tim Tebeila, who used to sell oranges and other fruits, and walking to school barefoot.
Wow.
And ultimately owned a mine that, as I was reading this book from 2018, was making 10 billion rands a year.
All right, no, that's highly inspirational. Thank you for sharing that. Why is it though that academicians, in particular professors, are not doing very well financially? I see that you may be more of an exception than the rule.
That's a very interesting one. I always say that the poorest people in the world are professors.
Why is that?
Because when it comes to financial literacy, we don't make much effort. We don't know much about taxation. We think that we know. Education can also dazzle your vision. It can blind you. Because when you are educated, people respect you. And you substitute the need to learn other things with that respect. Right? So you find that we don't have financial literacy, and we are concentrating too much on books, while there are other things that one could be doing. And we wait until you retire at age 60, which I believe is cruelty. I think anybody who works until they're 60 are being cruel to themselves, especially a paid job where you have a boss, where somebody has to ask you, where were you on this day?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but still I want to know what can be done for these professors and these academicians to change their mindset. I mean, you find a person with a string of degrees, 4 masters, 2 PhDs, and they can't pay rent.
Education is not everything, my brother. I think the mistake that is made when you go to these conventional universities, we are told that go to school, get a degree, and you'll become successful in life. There are lessons, the values of life that I wanted to talk about, that help shape a person. Also not having the knowledge. We talk sometimes in my workshops, I teach about what they call emotional intelligence, but there's also spiritual intelligence. There are certain things that you need to learn that you can learn from somebody who's not educated, like a pastor. Somebody maybe who left school at tea break, but they have wisdom from God.
Yes.
Because if you read the Bible in the book of Acts chapter 4, talking about the apostles, it says that when they were talking, people were amazed because they were not educated. But they realized that they had been with Jesus. There are values, there are nuggets of wisdom that come from the Bible. So if you're educated and you don't have God, it is not very helpful, because your education may not work for you. Life has got challenges.
That is a beautiful point, because it leads us to my next question. Why are Christians suffering? Why is it that people who know God cannot make ends meet? You go to churches, you find a lot of poverty in the church. Is there a reason for that? Because the Bible that I read talks about prosperity, talks about success, talks about winning, and all the heroes in the Bible are victorious. Why are the followers struggling so much?
I think the first thing that we need to realize is that God can give you 3 answers. God can say yes when you pray. God can say no. God can say wait. But the problem is that we want quick answers. But I think from your own experience as an entrepreneur, you know that things don't happen overnight. So you need to persevere. And you need to know that God does not operate the way that we operate. God takes his time. God is sovereign. That's one. The other thing again is that some of us just go to church. We are not born again. We are not committed to the things of God. We don't read our Bibles. We read our Bibles on Sunday. During this time, the other time, we don't have a personal relationship with God. You know, when you walk with God, God will reveal certain things to you. God will make you meet certain people along the way who will help you. Because things may not work for you, Mogobe, maybe in 2 years, for 5 years. But the thing that you failed to achieve in 5 years or 10 years, when the time is right, because the Bible says that all things work together for good for all those who trust God or who believe in God. But the problem is that quite often, when bad things happen to us, we take that as the complete picture of our life. But it's an installment in our lives. We need to wait for all the pieces of the puzzle to come together. We give up when we are about to get our solution. This Tim Taylor story, for instance, is very interesting.
Which one?
The billionaire talking about. For instance, he was bankrupt twice. There was a time that he spent 100,000 rands doing exploration. And then the guys at the lab disappeared with his money. He had to go to the lab. Fortunately, he found the paper. Then he went to apply for exploration license. 10 times he was denied. He went to do community crowdsourcing. He got his money there. I think about 600,000 rands or so, or even more than that. And then when he got that money, again he experienced problems. And he thought that the project was done until the day came. A phone call came through, and he made a bill. He made
just
a deal.
One phone call.
Made
all the difference.
He said that was I think it's the best deal that he made on the phone. 70 million rands, and people buying. I think they're buying shares in his company, and then they bought further shares. I think they invested 100 million, and they gave him 25.
What's the name of the guy so we can Google him?
Tim Taylor. From Limpopo.
And you are saying he's talked about in this book.
He's talked about in this book.
My guest has come with this book.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I've
read this book. I've come across that story.
Yeah. And that other reason, Mogobe, why Christians are failing is also ignorance. Ignorance, the company they keep as well. When I say ignorance, some Christians think that watching TV is satanic. You should it's all about the Bible and, going to church and stuff like that. But we go to church to get inspired. And then from there, when we go to our workplaces, we go back into society. We have to go to the farms.
Yes.
We have to go to the factories. We have to produce.
So you have to be open-minded.
You have to be active.
Yeah,
God can't do everything for you. God has given you the wisdom. When you are in trouble, God will help you. But you have to take the step. And then
the commandment says for 6 days you shall labor.
Yes.
You shall work for 6 days.
But we just believe in miracles. Miracles are good. When you walk with God, miracles, you are assured miracles. Miracles will take place. But miracles are not the basis of God. Miracles are not why we go to church.
You've more than answered my question.
Yes.
I want to move on to the next one.
Yes.
In this country, we've talked about how is your business outlook for this year. We've just had the budget speech, and the year is still starting. What is your business outlook? What projects are you working on? And what do you think we should be looking at as business people?
Yeah, I thank God. I think what you've answered. I've not had the chance to read the budget speech in full because the beginning of this semester is very busy. But what I can just say in general is that when you're a businessman, you read the budget speech, you are looking for business opportunities. A poor man looks for the one paragraph on salary increment, but a businessman looks at opportunities. What problems are there, and what prospects are there? What problem can I solve? What suggestion can you come up with? I was talking with somebody recently, one of my students, and because he's from time to time I work with him on projects, like on the speech writing thing. He said this year, said don't forget me again, and we discussed a problem in education, and he said, I think it's a brilliant idea. That's a business opportunity because he understands me, and I've opened his eyes to see the world in a different way. So this year again, because last year, remember, we brought former White House speechwriters here.
Well, tell the listener about it. I think we're now moving into your speech writing side of your business. So, as you explain your outlook for 2020, also tell us about that.
Aha. So, before I go back to the speech writing, so okay, well, I do some consultancy as well. Like I've just done one in Sweden. December I was doing one in Uganda. I've just invested in Malawi this year, and I'm going to do further investment in Malawi. And I think in a few weeks' time, I'll go to the DRC as well to see business prospects. Yeah. So the year looks very good because there are always opportunities. Like I said, God.
If you are willing to keep your mind open and your eyes open.
Yes, and you are also persevering. You are somebody who doesn't give up. You know, some phrases are cliches. Never give up. But there's one. This one, never give up, is not a cliche to me. It's an all-time truth. Never give up in life, whatever you are going through. Now on the speech writing, it's in 2016, 2017. I went to the US as a Fulbright scholar at Illinois Central College.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Scholar, I didn't know.
Yes, there's a lot that God has been blessing me with. So when I was there, because in my younger life, I was speechwriter for Dr. Kenneth Koma, the leader of opposition. And then I also used to write for my friend, the then Mayor of Gaborone, Mr. Tutwane. Even now from time to time I do help when he needs my help. So because of that passion that I've had, when I got there, I made sure that now I did professional speech writing with professional speech writers because I was doing it just trial and error. But when I got there, I met former White House speechwriters. I met guys like David Kusnet, the speechwriter for Clinton. I met guys like Bob Lemon, who was also a speechwriter for President Clinton. And I met also Eric Schnur, also a speechwriter for the White House for Vice President Al Gore. So I arranged for them to come here.
You didn't get as far as Obama and Trump yet.
No, that I don't think I'd go for the Trump one, but the Obama one, yes, I would. I'm not a favorite of Trump. But because I also brought the chairperson of the Speechwriters Association in the United States here, we are going to start a Speechwriters Association here so that we can cascade the knowledge to all and sundry, to those who are interested. But through the PSA as well, I can reach any speechwriter that I want in the United States because I just go through David Murray, my friend, the chairperson of the Speechwriters Association. Because the idea, Mogobe, was to professionalize speech writing in Botswana so that we do not mimic or plagiarize species of...
Hey, that's a couple of disasters in
are
Africa. I won't mention any names.
Yes. So we are trying to professionalize and help government because, you know, government can't do everything for us. We are educated by government. Where we can also, we should help the government.
We're coming to the end of our time together. It's been a fascinating time. But let's talk about your last words. Is there anything you want to leave a Motswana with, whether it has to do with speech writing, maintaining a positive outlook, or wealth creation? Just give us a powerful nugget of wisdom that we can part with, you know, and give to our listeners.
Yes. Well, all I can say is that life is a battle. You are only safe in your mother's womb. My philosophy is that when a baby is born and cries, the baby is giving a prophecy that I'm getting into this difficult world. So the baby is prophesying themselves. But I also want to say, life is not as bad as we think. We need to have values that guide us in life. And we need to keep a positive outlook. I read a very wonderful book by Norman Vincent Peale, also a pastor.
Yes.
The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yes, I've read it. Yes.
So that book has guided me that in my life, whatever the challenges that I'm experiencing, I never give up. I never blame anybody. I never want anybody to pity me. And I've come to a stage whereby I don't believe in God. I trust in God. I know God fights for me.
What is the difference?
The difference
between
is that
believing and trusting.
Believing, sometimes when it doesn't work, you give up. You think, but when you know that your God is there for you, you will trust. You know that God will never leave you, God will never forsake you, and no situation will shake you. And I've also realized that actually we must cherish problems. We need problems in order for us to succeed. There is nobody who has experienced phenomenal success in life who has never gone through these difficulties. You suffer, you persevere, you keep going on, and that is this biblical standard. Jesus suffered. He suffered on the cross. We can talk about David. The Bible says that David one day was poor, was suffering, he was broke. He was in a cave, the cave of Adullam, with poor people, with broke people.
But he got himself out.
God gave him an escape route in his life, and David arose to become.
And those escape routes are available to all of us.
The escape routes are available. You see, when you are going through a difficult time and you are meditating on the word of God, despite what you are going through, you don't have to let the whole world know what you are going through. Because sometimes you share with people, and the people that you are sharing with, they're actually glad that what you are telling them is happening to you.
And not
right? But we think that when we are doing good things, we think that everybody is proud of what we are doing. But we must know that life is a battle. Not everybody will clap for you. My friend, Professor Mogobe says, in life, there's no welcoming party.
Wow.
Love all people, but don't trust everybody.
Okay.
Trust in your God.
We come to the end of our time together, Dr. Tutwane. Would you care to give the listener your contact details, whether it's Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever it is?
We are based in Tlokweng, just behind the Tlokweng Land Board, Optimum Answers, and our landline is 37 000 23, and my own personal contact details 71977 500, or by email joytutwane@gmail.com. Thank you.
Now, my last request to you, can you ask the viewer to subscribe to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast?
I'm very proud to say to the reader, subscribe to Mogobe's Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. It's very important. You are a great man. You are an inspiration to many of us. We know that most Botswana who are successful are not indigenous Botswana, and the other people who are successful, most successful in this country, are expatriates. But you've shown us that our own people can make it. We are very proud of you. And through this, you are making a permanent legacy. May God bless you forever and ever.
Thank you. Thank you very much.